Hey everyone! Welcome back to Book Connection. It is me, Miss Michaela from the Downtown Huntsville Library, joined today by Miss Naz, also from the Downtown Huntsville Library. We're also both in the kids section. So we have split duties today. So we're both going to be presenting 2 kids books and 2 adult books. And for today's topic, we're going to be discussing our favorite books that we would like to present for Women's History Month. So, fun fact that I just Googled a second ago. Women's history. Yeah. I like to be honest and just keep it real. Make sure everybody's expectations stay level and appropriate with who I am. Women's History Month was actually established in 1987, 2 years after I was born. Yes. Thank you both. And Naz informed me that it actually started off as Women's History Week in 1982. Yep, there we go. Thank you. I need so much help to get through the day. So, we're going to start off with presenting our kids' books. Naz, would you like to introduce your kids' books first?
Sure. Okay, so I did, first it was Kamala Harris, Rooted in Justice. It's a juvenile biography. I'll put it up here. So it just kind of, it goes through Kamala Harris's from childhood to adulthood. Just in like, it highlights just like important moments in her like in her life, like milestones, and I really like the art. I feel like it's really pretty, and I think that's very important in like juvenile books. Just it looks like a picture book, and like it really, I feel like that's really good for like kids just to see. They'll read it, but they'll also be looking at it, and I feel like it has like good like graphics.
I also find that very engaging.
Yes. And I wanted to choose a book about Kamala Harris just because by the end of this book, it talks about how she dropped out of the presidential race. So this was before she was the first woman vice president. So women's history is being made still every day. I think that's like a very important thing that we need to remember, that women's history isn't just in the past. Well, it is in the past, but it can be yesterday, a few months ago, and it's still women's history, and it's still very important to remember and just like think about. And one thing we did or are doing for this book connection is quotes by or about our like the people that we chose to talk about today, and my quote is actually from Kamala Harris's mom, and it's, "You may not be the first to do things, but make sure you're not the last." And I think that's something that like Kamala Harris is like doing right now. She is the first woman vice president, but I don't think she'll be the last. So there's that one.
It's a lovely mom quote.
Yes. I think it's like, make sure your kids do good in life too. So the second one I have is I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. And so this one, it is technically a YA book, but I think it's adult book too. Like it's a hard read because
yes, it is.
It's because she had a hard life, and that's just what it is. I read it maybe, I think it was last year when I first actually read it all the way through. I had started it, but I got to a point where I was like, I can't do this right now. But I got all the way through it, and this one is like the first of like a series of her autobiographies. But like I think it's one of my favorites that I've read. And let's see, a quote I picked out for her is, I did then what I knew how to do. Now that I know better, I do better. And that's like a very important thing to keep in mind, that we're always growing, and we always do things like we know how to do them, and then when we learn we do better.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Yes.
Fingers crossed we learn lessons. Some of us don't, but it's okay. We're still trying. But yeah, I get what you were saying about, I know why I first read it like when I was in 6th grade, and it was very intense, and I don't think I finished it. And so I reread it as an adult, and I listened to the audiobook, and I think the only reason why I was able to get through it is because her voice is so beautiful that I was like, oh, this is breaking my heart, but I want to keep listening to her talk.
It's a hard read, but she had a hard life. So.
Yeah, she did. It was wild. Like, just
she always, like, got through it. She always, like, found a way to just keep going. Yeah,
it was like, definitely very inspirational, but man.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you have struggled to get through that book the first time, don't feel bad. A lot of us do.
Yes.
Try to maybe do the audiobook.
Yeah.
Maybe. So for my books, my first book is Building Zaha, the story of architect Zaha Hadid, and it's by Victoria Tentler-Kryov, and I really also liked the pictures in mine. It's an interesting mix of like realistic and abstraction, so there's some very nice realistic pictures right there and there. And apparently she was a very snazzy dresser, so yet another reason to read her books. I'm kind of jealous of her amazing wardrobe. But she was known for like trying to do really interesting things with her designs and to always try to innovate what she was doing. And she took inspiration from other architects, but this is actually one of my favorite pictures of, you know, showing off the abstraction in the illustrations in here. But she was actually born in Baghdad in 1950, I think, and she didn't actually get to, she designed buildings like all around the country, but she didn't actually get to design a building in the United States until like 1997, I think. But that was her dream for a while. Yeah, it was 1997 to 2003. She won a competition in Ohio. And one of the things that I really like in addition to this book is, or in addition to the illustrations in this book, is how they do the wording in it. It's semi-poetic, but it's a very nice free-flowing kind of storytelling.
That's how the Kamala Harris.
Yeah, it's like you're just reading a nice story, and it's relaxing, but also learning. Very important. And again, her fashion sense, oh my goodness. So I would recommend this book. She does show perseverance in it, so I enjoyed it. And my next book, which is a bit more serious and also from the young adult section, is a long title. Fighter in Velvet Gloves, Alaskan Civil Rights Hero Elizabeth Peratovich. Such a long name. On such an early day. But this tells the story of Elizabeth Peratovich, and she was a civil rights... Oh, I forgot to do my quote for this book. Do you guys mind if I go back?
Go ahead.
Turn this away. You got spoiled, but bear with me. So my favorite quote from Zaha Hadid was, "If you think about making a city that is much more porous, many accessible spaces, that is a political position, because you don't fortify it, you open it up so that many people can use it." So I like that she designed things with the intent of inclusivity.
I like that.
Yeah. And the sad thing about that is this is a bright orange Post-it note that I had on the back of it, and I still managed to ignore it. That's what I'm bringing to the table today, y'all. But back to Fighter in Velvet Gloves. One of the things that I enjoyed the most about this book is in the introduction, the author talks about how this book is accessible to pretty much all ages. So upper elementary, up through high school, the family can read it together. It's written in a very understandable way for all ages. But it also has a prologue written by her last surviving son. And she was actually one of the first people to start anti-discrimination movements in 1945. And the quote that I chose actually came from the speech that she did in her anti-discrimination speech in front of the Alaskan Senate. She was Tlingit, and her quote is, "No law will eliminate crimes, but at least you as legislators can assert to the world that you recognize the evil of the present situation and speak to your intent to help overcome discrimination." And I just thought that quote was very beautiful and inspirational. And those are my two kids' books. You see how I remembered to do the quote that time?
Good job.
Learning, doing better the second time around.
Okay, so I guess we're doing adult now. So for the first one, it's Agatha, The Real Life of Agatha Christie. It is by, again, long names. It's just
it's there to trip you up every time.
Anne Martinetti, William Lebeau, and Alexander Frank. So it's a graphic novel, and it just shows like short snippets of Agatha Christie's adventures. She had a lot of adventures. She was a nurse in both World War I and World War II. She was an archaeologist, and what she's most famous for, she was a novelist. She wrote a lot of mysteries, and she's one of the best-selling fiction writers still to this day, and one of the most translated authors too. This book, it's a graphic, and I really like the art in this too. Like, I feel like in the graphic novel, art is one of the most important things, and it has it's very colorful and bright, and I really like that. I enjoyed reading it. It's a fast read too. But let's see, her quote that I chose is, "The secret of getting ahead is getting started." And I chose that one because it speaks to me in my procrastination. I'm the worst at procrastination. I came up with these quotes literally 10 minutes before we started, but it's okay.
We're about honesty on Book Connection.
Yes. And so, let's see, my second book is called Headstrong, 52 Women Who Changed Science and the World, and it is by Rachel Swaby. So this book is, it's about 52 different women of science who are not very well known, but who contributed amazing things. So again, full disclosure, have not read all 52 stories, but I would say the majority of them. And I like that how it's broken up into different fields of science, I guess. So there's medicine, biology, genetics, physics, earth and stars, math and technology, and invention. And it has a few of women in what they contributed to it and to our world, and how in a way it's a much better place because of them. And so the quote that I chose for this book, I thought of when we think of famous women scientists, I feel like a lot of us think about Marie Curie. And she is actually not in this book, but her daughter is in the physics section. But the quote I chose is, "Nothing in life is to be feared. It is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less." And like some of my other quotes, I feel like it's a good quote to kind of go forward and persevere and see what we can do next. That's what I liked it.
That was a nice quote. So for the final two books, one of my last books is about Florence Flo Kennedy, The Life of a Black Feminist Radical by Sherry M. Randolph. Sorry for skipping over that. But most people know her pretty well. She is, of course, a Black feminist, and she was also a lawyer. And one of the things that she was known for as a Black feminist was the fact that she worked with white feminism as well. And so the quote that I chose was, "Sure, there are differences in degree, but we've got to stop comparing wounds and go after the system that does the wounding." So I bring up the thing about white feminism because so often it does end up excluding people that are more marginalized. So women of color, women with disabilities, trans women. But Florence's holding was about making sure that, you know, people from all over the movement aren't focusing on their own hurts, but focusing on going after the people that are causing the hurt. So I really like that quote. And my very last book is the story of Sally Mann. It's Hold Still by Sally Mann, a memoir with photographs. And I liked this one partly because Patti Smith suggested it, and I was kind of in a Patti Smith mood when I was reading these. This was from a while back. I was also into a Southern Gothic moment, and she's from Virginia, which is kind of the South, I guess. But I really enjoyed her. I really enjoyed her writing style. It was a good storytelling style, and her pictures are very simple looks at life throughout the United States. She uses her children a lot in her pictures. And photography is one of those art forms that I never really tried my hand at because I don't think I have the skill for it, honestly. I just don't. But I appreciate it. And you do get to see a lot of her pictures in here. One of her more famous pictures is, it's a group shot of these little girls, and one of the little girls is holding like a candy cigarette. And a lot of people saw that, thought it was a real cigarette, and that kind of sparked the movement of outlawing candy cigarettes. So I thought that was pretty interesting. She made history right there, just with her artwork. But yeah, I enjoyed this book, and the quote that I chose from her, because of that picture that I really like of hers, is, "I like to make people a little uncomfortable. It encourages them to examine who they are and why they think the way they do." So I think that's a very good reason to make art.
It is.
That's why we do
Yeah.
it. But thank you all for joining us today. I hope that you will check out these books and our other recommendations, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.